Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit tre.radio.
Good morning, Mark. How are you, mate?
I'm doing good. How are things with you?
Not too bad at all. We'll go straight into it because we've got lots to talk about. Let's talk about football, the PFA proposals.
Yeah, I think this is important because there's been a lot said around, what headers do to actually your brain's health. Yeah. So the PFA, the Professional Footballers Association, has come out with new protocols. It's just proposals, but they're still interesting, to basically limit headers. So they suggested a cap of 10 headers a week for pro football players
in training,
and a ban for children under 12.
Wow!
To reduce long-term and neurological risk, as they describe it.
I remember watching a brain specialist on a podcast, the Diary of the CEO, and he was talking about the consistency of the brain is literally like butter. When you're heading the ball, he said it's so damaging for the brain to do that. And obviously, I love watching a great header, from a corner or whatever, or crossing into the net. It's nothing better than watching it. But, so they're definitely tackling this now, dealing with it. What about some headgear or whatever? Could that be something possible in the future, do you think?
It's nothing they mentioned, but it wouldn't surprise me at the same point because we're seeing it in so many other games. This is being taken as a serious thing as scientists discover more and more about it. And it's not out of the question. We already have face gear. We saw many iconic years of Peter Cech with his headgear. Yeah. So it's not out of the question at all if more studies come out about it.
Are they limiting any headers per match yet?
I don't think so. The proposal was just a cap of 10 per week, but even from a logistical standpoint, I think that's going to be something that's going to have to self-monitored. It's nothing that you can really enforce and
nobody's counting them, are they?
Harry Maguire, that's his 9th header of the week. He's got to keep an eye on it. In the midst of a game, I think the professionals are just going to do what they can to win the game.
Yeah.
But it's still an interesting proposal nonetheless.
Absolutely. We shall keep an eye on that one. Let's go to the Premier League then. We first of all looking at Man United versus Tottenham.
Yeah, this is a clinical showing from Man United. Yeah. Another match that has us asking, what has Michael Carrick done with this team? Amazing. Where has he put the team that was playing under Amram? But no, it was just them taking advantage because for the first 20 minutes it was a pretty competitive match. It was a fun match. Both teams were playing with some real, I guess, style and flair. But Romero just couldn't hold it in, and then Casemiro got the brunt of it, and a red card in the first half where they saw the game change.
Yeah.
Man United were still dominating possession. I think in the first 15 minutes they had something like 70% of it.
Wow.
So that didn't really change. But that red card just made it so much more difficult for Spurs to contain it because they had to take off an attacker, bring on a defender, and just change the complete way they played the game. You kind of feel bad for Thomas Frank because he's in a position where he needs to be getting results and player decisions like that. There's nothing the coach can do about that. That is completely on the player. So it was a tough outing for them. But it's a statement win for United that season in the top 4, and who knows from here where they can go.
Again, it's just like you say, what's changed because the players are the same, yet leadership is everything. He's really getting a tune out of them. They look like they're happy again. And it just shows you how bad it was under Anarim and how long it took them to change that as well. Doing a great job and giving the fans something to smile about.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And I think it's a lot easier because it's an ex-player. Any people who would have grown up watching Man United probably would have idolized, Michael Carrick in one sense. So it's an icon stepping into the dressing room, and there's been a lot said about the way they've went about training. How sessions are now more intense, but they're shorter. They're finished by 1 o'clock in the day.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing I've read in the news that the training sessions they're having are much different to what they wore under Amram or Ten Hag.
Yeah.
And that's something that people are accrediting to the change, and that's allowing players to then say, hey, if you want to do extra stuff like, watch tape or anything after training, you're free to do that. But after one, you're effectively finished.
Yeah, that's fabulous. That sounds like I could actually do that. Right, okay. Moving on to Newcastle v Brentford.
Yeah, this is a thriller, and really Brentford edged it out in the end in this 5-goal spectacle. It was 2-3 to Brentford. At Newcastle, they had spells of control, but Brentford were just so ruthless on the counter-attack and in set pieces, and they're continuing to punch above their weight. I'm really excited to see where they finish and what's the next move after this for Andrews and Brentford. But they're really proving everyone wrong, so I don't think anyone had them, fighting for 7th this season. A lot of people had them right down there in the relegation zone. See, does Keith Andrews have what it takes to survive? But no, it's a completely different story, and Newcastle will just be frustrated to drop the points because they need them.
Yeah, for me, the match of the weekend, it's the one I actually watched yesterday. Liverpool versus Man City. You thought at one point, Liverpool, great free kick there. And you think that's fantastic, it. That's the difference, because there was no one locking that game. City didn't look like they were going to score. They had most of the possession, I think 70% first half or somewhere around there. And you just thought, Liverpool are going to get a cheeky goal here, which they did. Well, not cheeky, but a great goal. And that'll be it. But City, never write City off. Never write them off. At your peril, write them off.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, no, there's definitely some displays from Liverpool. Some fans probably calling for if TK puts that header away, it's a completely different match.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it was just a bad pass to Salah, and it was just coming a bit late for him. But it was a feisty clash, and it just went in City's favour. I mean, that penalty from Haaland was composed, and
a lot of pressure on him.
I guess,
he's not scored since November.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying that maybe that goal at the very end should have stood.
Well, I don't. You explain this to me if you can, because I got no idea what's going on here. So, just for those that didn't watch it, the Liverpool keeper is up the other end of the pitch because they're trying to get a goal back to equalise. So he's up the pitch. Alisson, he's up there, and he's out of sight completely. I can't remember who it was that kicked it, actually, eventually, who actually would have got that goal had it stood. But I think Haaland was probably had the last touch, I'm not sure. But anyway, so basically kicks it up the field and it's aiming towards the goal, and the Liverpool player's trying to get it there. Haaland's in front of him. Haaland gets pulled back by his shirt, which is a foul, and then Haaland pulls the balls to stop the Liverpool player getting the ball. He pulls the Liverpool player back. It just seemed like it should have stood as a goal. I just don't understand it. And actually, it's taken away, I think, a great moment in Premier League history that would have been just a freak goal, but an amazing goal.
Oh, it has. I think the thinking for the refs and VAR was that Haaland got fouled and it was advantage because the Liverpool player no one had possession of the ball, and then Haaland fouled, which brought the original advantage to an end, and that was just before the ball rolled in. So I think they brought it back to the original foul. And I agree that I think it should have been a goal. It was just the way the ball rolled in from the halfway line. It would have been a great moment, but I think the thinking was that the rough housing was to be called back and sanctioned, but. It was still a good match, and I guess it keeps City in that quote unquote title race, because if they lost this match, it probably would have been a second season of no trophies for Pep. Yeah, but there's still plenty of questions now with them getting that win.
Well, it made no difference the end the end score at the end of it anyway. And they had 15, and then it ended up like double the amount of time they played in stoppage time. It just seemed a whole mess, the whole thing. But anyway, the highlights are City comes out. Liverpool, are there questions to be asked again at Liverpool here? What do you think?
Oh, there's constantly questions. I mean, we're looking at the pre-game and being 17 points, off the title contenders, which I think was what it was when they started the match. I mean, there was massive questions from all the pundits, and it's certainly expected. But I think Slot is the man to continue with them. I mean, he delivered a Premier League trophy, which is something that many managers spend years trying to get their hands on. So I think you just have to let him see in the summer if he can get some defensive players in, because I mean that's what we're looking at right now. Is we're looking at a defence that is thoroughly aged, and it's not aging like fine wine.
No.
And of course, you've Konate leaving at the end of the year as well on a free. So you're just looking at getting in some new players, because that defence is so fragile.
Okay, we've got about 2 minutes on the Six Nations. I know it's quite a difficult task, but I'm going to let you have a go.
Yeah, so we had France versus Ireland. Wasn't to be Ireland's day, and it's to be expected. They had a lot of players out. You know, we're talking about Bundy Aki was suspended, Henshaw, Bard, McCarthy, Porter, Hansen, Keane, Boyle, Furlong, all injured. So it was to be expected that it was going to be a tough match for them, and it certainly felt that way because France were just so dominant. They were so disciplined, and Ireland just kept missing tackles. So France kind of just blitzed them. It was 36-14. Then we had a completely different match in Rome. It was absolutely soaking. It was just a nail biter that Scotland nearly got on the right side of, but it was 18-15. And I mean, this Italian squad, I mean, they're so full of grit and resilience. You know, I think for Scotland's first try, it was almost 40 faces to get that ball on the line. So that just tells you how just resilient this Italian team is. They're willing to give up nothing at all, and that weather certainly went against Scotland. I think if it was a drier day, they probably would have got the win in the end, but it was absolutely soaking. And then the final match was England-Wales, 48-7. I mean, a lot of people kind of knew this was going to be a repeat of last year's. Wales are just in such an unfortunate position now where there's no security, no real future with the domestic games. So England were just ruthless. But the funny thing is, unlike the France and Ireland game where Ireland kind of just disappeared, England after the first 20 minutes, I think, were just happy with letting Wales constantly make mistakes. I mean, there's twice in the game where Wales were down to 13 players. So really this is a case, I think, of Wales playing themselves into quite a lot of trouble, and England were just there taking advantage of it with a combination of power and speed and precision off the set pieces. So Wales were never really threatening at all.
Yeah, and because Wales are so poor, it's difficult to gauge how England will be in other matches, but we shall see. There's lots of optimism around for England this year, so we shall see. Right, Mark, we're going to have to move on quickly to Super Bowl. 2 minutes on Super Bowl, and and did you watch the halftime concert as well? There's a lot of talk around that one at the moment. Donald Trump didn't like it. Didn't understand the word of it, he said. I've not had a chance to watch it yet, but I will later on.
I haven't. I didn't understand a word of it, but I did. I understood two things: Lady Gaga singing, and Bad Bunny saying "God Bless America." I got those two things. The rest of it, I was just sort of sitting there as, you know, I'm enjoying the vibes of it all. that was kind of my thing. I was more interested in the game, to be honest. I was there, and of course, the Seattle Seahawks beat the New England Patriots 29-13. A lot of people were saying the real Super Bowl was the Seahawks versus the Rams. But listen, it's difficult when you're playing a defense like the Seattle Seahawks. They sacked Drake May 6 times, you know, forcing turnovers and just really stifled that New England offense so early on. I mean, they were scoreless through the first half, not even a field goal, which we have to talk about that. Of course, Jason Myers, Seahawks kicker, scored 5 field goals, which is amazing. But yeah, their defense was just so dominant, and we kind of knew coming in that the Seahawks were the favorites. I mean, they're a team that have everything going for them this season. I'm really happy for Sam Darnold, who's a late bloomer, who was wrote off by many in the NFL to now have his own ring and be in a team that appreciates him. But I don't think the Patriots can be too sad. I mean, this is the first season with Mike Vrabel. They're in the Super Bowl. They finished 17-3. They won the AFC. They struggled. They were outmatched by Seattle ultimately in the big game. But they had some moments late on that they can be very proud of, and there's no shame whatsoever in admitting that you faced that defense and you came short, because so many other teams have. And I guess the big Super Bowl MVP was Kenneth Walker III. I mean, he had 135 rushing yards and 27 carries, and he became the first running back to win the Super Bowl MVP since 1998. So he was a real, I guess, factor in that Seattle offense as well. But it was a good match, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more in the press about the halftime show and Bad Bunny and Green Day in the coming days.
Yep, absolutely. We'll lots to talk about that. Mark, as always, thank you very much, my friend. We've not even had a chance to really talk about the Winter Olympics. Are you watching that as well, in the midst of it all?
I'm watching some of it. I'm getting some of the clips. I saw someone tore their ACL on the slopes and have to be carried off. It didn't look too fun at all.
It's so dangerous, some of it, isn't it? We'll try and get a bit of an Olympic update up for you here on TRE as well. Thank you very much, Mark, as always. We'll speak to you next week, my friend. You take care.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this programme, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit tre.radio.